Orphan First Kill. Wow, this is a fun one. Let's get into it. Welcome back, horror film fans. I'm Mike C, and welcome into the Chrono Cabin. There is a lot to unpack here, but before we begin, you will notice that my Halloween candle is lit. That's right, it is officially the Halloween season here at the Chrono Cabin. I start September 1st and go all the way to Halloween, so we're gonna have a lot of fun videos in between. I love Halloween season, and it is that time of year again. So we are launching off our Halloween season videos with Orphan First Kill, even though I don't really consider Orphan First Kill a horror movie. I'll explain in a minute, but Orphan First Kill is the prequel to Orphan, which came out in 2009. So they waited a long time to bring out a new installation of Orphan. Now, Orphan and Orphan First Kill, I consider them more thrillers than anything, maybe dark thrillers. Now, you could argue that there is a slasher side to these movies. It kind of errs on the slasher side. They are bloody. There's a lot of blood. It's a lot of violence, but I don't think you'd be wrong in saying that, but I just don't consider them slashers in the true sense. I just consider these really fun thrillers to watch. Let me give you the quick synopsis of Orphan First Kill. After escaping from an Estonian psychiatric facility, Esther travels to America by impersonating the missing daughter of a wealthy family. Yet an unexpected twist arises that pits her against a mother who will protect her family at all costs. And yeah, that twist is the essence of this movie, and it's what makes it all worth watching. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is I really recommend that you watch Orphan first before you watch Orphan First Kill, okay? Because Orphan has a great twist in it, and Orphan First Kill has another great twist in it, but that great twist in Orphan First Kill is only going to have more impact, and it's going to be a lot more fun for you if you watch Orphan and you understand the backstory and you enjoy that twist. Hopefully it already hasn't been ruined for you. So if you have Paramount Plus, you're in luck, because you can watch Orphan and then you can watch Orphan First Kill back to back. Both of these movies are available to stream on Paramount Plus. As I'm actually filming this video, Orphan First Kill is still in theaters, so it's having a limited theater run, but honestly, you can kind of watch this at home, I think. It's not necessarily a movie you need to go out and spend a lot of money at the theater. That being said, if you don't have Paramount Plus, fortunately, you do have to rent Orphan First Kill, and right now, it's a little expensive. It's like $20-some. At least that was the last I saw. I think you can rent it on Amazon Prime. Don't hold me to that, but I can't remember where I saw it, but it is expensive. I don't recommend necessarily spending $20 to rent it. So if you have a trial of Paramount Plus, maybe use that and watch these, because they're definitely a lot of fun. There's a lot of other good stuff on Paramount Plus as well. Originally, I thought Orphan was a very similar plot line to The Good Son with Macaulay Culkin and Elijah Wood. That came out back in 1993. Can't believe that movie is that old. But it's that twist in Orphan that really separates it. It's that really, really fun twist. And going into Orphan First Kill, knowing that twist and everything, it just makes that second twist in Orphan First Kill that much better. So with that, there are no spoilers that I'm going to mention for Orphan First Kill. I advertised that. There's no spoilers. That being said, in order to talk about Orphan First Kill, I need to talk about Orphan and just kind of give you a recap. And unfortunately, I do have to give you the spoiler in Orphan. So if you haven't seen Orphan, or it's been a long time since you've seen it, you'll want to stop watching this video, because definitely go back, watch Orphan. I do not want to spoil that for you, because that is really the part of the fun of that movie, okay? So I can't stress that enough. Stop watching the video here. I do have to give away that twist in Orphan, but I will not give away any twists in Orphan First Kill. But just go ahead, stop it right now if you haven't seen Orphan and you plan to watch Orphan First Kill. Okay, so stop here. All right, now this is assuming that you have seen Orphan and you do know the plot twist, okay? Again, one more chance, because I don't want to ruin it for you. That's part of the fun of this. But let's get into the synopsis of Orphan. A husband and wife who recently lost their baby adopt a 9-year-old girl who is not nearly as innocent as she claims to be. And boy, yeah, she is not. There's a lot of surprises in this. Now, This one stars Isabelle Furhman, who plays Esther, who is the orphan, and it also stars Vera Farmiga, and I am a huge fan of Vera Farmiga from The Conjuring. I even liked her in Annabelle Comes Home, although I didn't really like the movie Annabelle Comes Home. I still liked her. She's great. I think she's great in everything she does, and she really sold the part, and so did Isabelle Furhman in this. Orphan was directed by Jean Collet-Serra. Hope I'm pronouncing that name right, but did a very good job directing this movie. Overall, the film was really entertaining. Now, for the big twist here, Isabelle Furhman was 10 years old when she played the part of Esther in Orphan from 2009. Okay, so she was actually 10, so she played the age that she was supposed to be, and what she was supposed to be is the real secret here. In the movie, she is supposed to be a little girl. However, it turns out she's a 30-year-old woman who has a condition that makes her look young, and she basically impersonates children and moves into people's families and then ultimately kills the families because she has a horrible, violent streak. Great twist. I absolutely loved it. Now, the funny thing is that Isabelle Furhman did actually play the age that she was supposed to be in this movie. So when they revealed that she's actually a 30-year-old woman that is impersonating a child, they actually had to make her look older, which is funny because now in Orphan First Kill, Isabelle Furhman is actually 22 years old in real life. So she's having to reprise the role where she's supposed to appear young. And now in this one, they have to make her look young. And I gotta say, I really did enjoy Orphan, okay? And it's interesting because Orphan ended really abrupt. I didn't mind that, but they clearly killed Esther at the end of the movie, okay? So she falls into the ice after being kicked by her mother, and Esther is dead. She's gone. So it didn't seem like there would be any other movie beyond that. So it only makes sense that they're doing a prequel, because I don't think they necessarily even intended to do another Orphan movie. Or they maybe just left it open to actually doing an origin story, which is what First Kill is. Some people complained about the end. They thought it was a little too abrupt. I didn't mind it. I thought it was it just cut to the chase. The movie did what it was supposed to do, and I really actually did enjoy it all the way through. I didn't really have any complaints from Orphan. So based on that, when Orphan First Kill came out, I was really excited to see it. And you know what? I went back and I actually rewatched Orphan because it had been so many years, I forgot a lot of the elements of that movie. Now, in Orphan, we do learn that Esther actually escaped a mental institution in Estonia, and somehow she ended up at this orphanage, which is where the parents adopted her. Now, Orphan First Kill starts off at that mental institution in Estonia. It's a cold winter night, and this nurse is going in who is a psychiatrist or a practicing psychiatrist, and she's going to help with therapy for some of the kids in this mental institution. And we very quickly learn Esther's real name. We think of her as Esther, but she actually does have a backstory. Now, my big complaint with First Kill is that they really do not go into Esther's background. I mean, they only touch on it just slightly. Like, they give you her real name before she actually becomes Esther, okay? And that was kind of my complaint, because I really wanted to know who Esther's parents were. Like, who was her father? Who was her mother? What happened to her? Why is she so psychotic? Why is she so dangerous? But we really don't find any of that out. Orphan First Kill is basically just starting off from the point at which she escaped that mental institution, of which we found out about in Orphan. So technically this movie takes place a couple years before the events that happened in Orphan. I felt like when I first started watching it was just going to be more of the same. She just moves in with another family and then she's going to kill the family. But that's where it gets interesting, because then they add another twist, which is, I thought it was really well done. It was very clever. And again, I won't ruin that for you at all, because that's the whole point of watching this one. When I got to that twist in Orphan First Kill, I laughed. I mean, not necessarily like in a funny way, but just in a like, wow, okay, that just great. Really good. Great, clever idea. Some say it might be a little cheesy, but this is where I think the movie gets great. Kind of turns into a really dark comedy, in my opinion. None of this stuff is unintentionally funny. I don't believe they made it unintentionally funny. I think they purposely made kind of a dark comedy in this. It's almost like going back to Ready or Not. I don't know if you ever saw that movie, but I laughed a lot through that movie because it was very absurd, and the actors captured the absurdity of everything. But it was just a great twist. I can't say enough about it. I really enjoyed it, and it's really fun. So you're going to enjoy this movie knowing what you know about Orphan going into it, especially if you watch it back to back. Again, I can't stress that enough. So this movie stars Julia Stiles, and it once again stars Isabelle Furhman reprising her role. The problem is here, she's actually 22 years old. So they actually had to do a lot of camera tricks to make her look younger. I was impressed with the way they did it. They actually had two young little girl actors that were basically body doubles for Isabelle Furhman. Isabelle Furhman is actually of average height now, so you have to make her look short and everybody else look taller. And they did this with a lot of camera tricks. They actually had some actors standing on planks. They would have her sitting very low against the desk so that the desk seemed like she was reaching over the desk. And sometimes they filmed the first person perspective from Esther, and they'd film the camera up at the actors, various things like that. A lot of times you'll see they do these cuts where they actually have one of the young girls that's the body double, and they film her from the back, or they'll film one of the body doubles from a long way away. Very impressive. Like, if you're a film student, this is a fun movie to watch just from that perspective. You have to make a 22-year-old actress of average height look like a very young girl. And it's not easy to do. Sometimes I think they overdid it a little with the body doubles. I was like, okay, I get it. It's a body double. It's very apparent. Well done, but it's a little apparent. Like, I think they did too many of the cutscenes where they're trying to prove to you. It's like, we already know, that she's older. And I think I didn't mind it as much too, because in my mind, I just know, yeah, she's technically in this movie, a 28-year-old woman, because it's a couple of years prior to Orphan. But they did it really well. It was kind of inventive to see all the little camera tricks that they pulled off, and it really worked. I mean, they did a great job. It was very convincing. Now, one thing that I found interesting about this was the overall look, okay? I do talk about, like, the look of a lot of movies, even though, look, my lighting setup is not great. I'm not using an expensive camera to film this or anything, but I do appreciate really good cinematography, and I appreciate the look of a lot of movies. I have to say, I kind of enjoyed the muted tones of this. They did make it look like a movie from the very late 1990s to the early 2000s. Horror movies had kind of this monochromatic look, simple color palette, very muted, very desaturated look. And First Kill did exactly that. It's very muted, very desaturated at times. Although I felt like the filter was a little too much sometimes. It almost looked a little soap opera. It's like that soap opera effect where it's very filtery, it's very soft, a little unnatural. In fact, if you use Instagram and use filters, it's akin to that. And I felt like they went a little too far with it at times, but overall, I did like that muted look. Kind of reminded me of movies like An American Haunting. If you ever watched that came out in 1999. That was with Donald Sutherland and a host of other great actors. But it had that kind of very late 90s, early 2000 horror look. Another great example would be The Ring, the remake, which had Naomi Watts in it. That's one of my favorite horror remakes, really, because they did a fantastic job with that. The look, I just love the look of that movie. It's very muted, very desaturated, but it has a very bluish tint to it, the whole movie. And that really kind of adds to the feeling of a cold chill to the whole movie. And I would say that they used a lot of these techniques, these desaturated, muted looks, these kind of filtered looks in First Kill just to make Isabelle look younger. Now, one of the other issues that I had was the title of this movie, First Kill. It didn't really make any sense, and I'm not giving away any spoilers. This happens right at the top of the movie. Once this nurse psychologist enters the mental institution facility, she finds out right away the history of Esther and the fact that she's already killed a family. That's why she's actually in the mental institution. She's very violent. She's already killed people. So I really don't understand the concept of why they called this First Kill, unless they called it First Kill because it's her first kill as a supposed orphan. That's the only thing I can think of. Otherwise, the title makes no sense. By the way, the whole cast in First Kill is great. I like Julia Stiles a lot in this. I think she does a great job, and there's a great anti-chemistry that goes on between the mom and the orphan. It's fantastic, and you just have to watch it. Another funny thing about Orphan First Kill and Orphan, the father figures are just completely out to lunch. So the father in Orphan and the father in Orphan First Kill, they're both completely oblivious to everything, just completely oblivious. It's almost like both fathers in both movies were just supposed to be completely stupid. That cracked me up. And I don't know if they had the same kind of father oblivious character in First Kill as kind of a call out to Orphan. Maybe they were just kind of like poking a little fun at that or something, but it worked. I mean, it's great. It's comical. And the actor that plays the brother in this is really great too. I think Orphan First Kill gets a little bit cheesy towards the end, but I don't mind it. I thought it was so entertaining. I was like, you can be cheesy if you want. It's fine. I will say this. I liked Orphan more than Orphan First Kill. That's not always necessarily surprising because generally, you know, when you're trying to follow up a movie and do something else, or, you know, a prequel or even following it up, you generally like the first one more. Not in all cases, but for me, that was the case. I liked Orphan more than First Kill, but I definitely appreciated First Kill. Definitely think it's worth a watch. I think you're going to have a lot of fun watching it, and I think you'll laugh like I did. Overall, bravo. I just thought it was great. It's not a perfect movie, okay? But overall, if you just take it for what it is, you're going to have a great time watching it. So everyone, I hope you go watch Orphan, and then I hope you go watch Orphan First Kill, and I hope you enjoy them. I think you will have a lot of fun with them. Leave it in the comments if you like them. Just in the comments, make sure you put spoiler in big letters, okay, if you're going to give a spoiler, because I just don't really want to ruin it for anybody that hasn't seen it. If you ruin the spoilers in this, the movies probably won't be that great, okay, because if you just kind of know already what's happening, it takes a huge chunk out of both of these movies. It takes a huge chunk out of the entertainment value. So with that, everyone, happy start to Halloween season. If you like my video, give it a thumbs up. You can give it a thumbs down too. If you didn't, I'll understand. But if you like my channel, please do subscribe. It'll help me out a lot. You can ring that bell for future notifications whenever I release new content, and I will be releasing a lot of content through the Halloween season. With that, everyone, keep watching those horror movies, and I will see you soon.